Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome. We will be starting shortly. Thank you so much for putting that in the chat, Mary. I appreciate that. So welcome, everyone, to tonight's outreach program conducted by HESC, the Higher Education Services Corporation. We are the state's financial aid agency, and we administer the Tuition Assistance Program, also known as TAP, as well as many other programs aimed to help students access and pay for a post-secondary education. So I thank you all so much for joining. My name is Adobe Aguaha. I will be moderating today's event. I work on the outreach and communications team, and I'm so excited to be here. In today's event, we'll discuss the basics of applying to college. The college application process can sometimes feel overwhelming and challenging. Students and parents alike may encounter more questions than answers. And in tonight's webinar, we really want to unpack that, demystify the process, and really provide you all with resources and tools to tackle this very exciting journey of applying to college. Also, October is College Application Month here in New York State. And so what better way to kick off this month than having an entire webinar dedicated to the college application process. But before we get started, I want to go over some quick housekeeping. We will have a Q&A portion towards the end of the program. So if you have any questions as we're talking, please be sure to put them in the chat or put them in the Q&A, and we will address them towards the end of the program. And if we do not get a chance to address it, we will throw up a slide at the end with an email address where you can shoot those questions to us, and we will be more than happy to tackle them and get the responses back to you. Also, we have a brief survey at the end of the presentation. It should pop up in your web browser. It should take no more than 5 minutes. We really appreciate your feedback. We want to hear your thoughts because we want to create content that serves you, that benefits you, that helps you. So there will be a survey at the end of this presentation. And without further ado, let's get straight into the introductions. And I want to welcome our panelists. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And we'll start with whoever wants to get started. I had a professor always tell me, I will make you voluntold instead of a volunteer. So I won't volunteer anyone. I will let anyone just begin and introduce themselves.
Hey everybody.
Okay, I will volunteer.
I was gonna try.
Thank you.
I'm Mary Chandler, Senior Director of Admission at Lemoyne College here in Syracuse, New York. Have been in higher education over 25 years, from financial aid to admission to registrar to teaching to first year advisement. I've done it all. So excited. I was a first generation college student, so understand the stress that comes with this process and love the opportunity to work with families to help you figure it all out. We talk sometimes in acronyms that you don't understand, but we can help you figure that out. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Hi everybody, my name is Matthew. I'm the Associate Director for Undergraduate Admissions at the College of St. Rose in Albany. I certainly can't boast 25 years, that's awesome, Mary, but I've got 12 years in admissions experience, and it's a pleasure to be here tonight.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lasagna Griggs. I am most recently the Associate Dean of Enrollment Management at Tompkins Cortland Community College. I've taken a short respite to work on my dissertation and my graduate studies for my doctorate degree. It's hard for me to do two things at one time these days. I have over 35 years experience in financial aid and about 10 years experience in admissions. So the enrollment management process, the admissions and financial aid application process, I've been told by my husband that I can do that in my sleep. So I'm here and happy to help people and answer questions tonight.
Hi, everyone. I'm Carrie Lubold. I'm the Associate Director of Student Financial Services at SUNY Plattsburgh. I've been here since '99. Prior to that, I worked in financial aid at a college in Pennsylvania for a few years. Happy to be with you tonight, and thank you, Adobe and HESC, for hosting the event.
Thank you all so much for those lovely introductions. And it's glad to know that we've got some veterans on this panel. So we're going to ask questions that hopefully will benefit those watching. And let's just get right into it. So when I'm thinking about college preparation, let's talk about timeline. When should students really start the college prep process? I'll ask Mary if you could jump in.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Certainly, when we're looking at applications, we're going to be looking at transcripts that start your freshman year in most cases, some that go forward from there. But as far as looking at colleges, if you start in your sophomore year, looking at what you're interested in, what types of things you're looking for, going out in between sophomore and junior year and maybe starting to explore some college as well as between your junior and senior year, just trying to get at that point in time in the sophomore junior timeframe, you're trying to get a sense of what it is that you truly like, what you're looking for. And I think the more places you go to visit or interactions you have with people, the easier it is to narrow that down. Matthew, do you want to add something to that?
Not really, no. I mean, I think you kind of hit all the highlights there. Kind of that sophomore, junior year is traditionally when most students will start their search, maybe making a list of the things that are important to them to kind of visualize it along the way. And doing those college tours are extremely important. So there's lots of different colleges out there and you can't visit them all, but there's certainly some smart ways that you can make your search a little bit easier and a little bit more efficient. And we'll probably get into that as we go through the panel this evening.
And Dobie, I'd like to add to what Mary and Matt have said. For students who have an interest in nursing specifically, a lot of students want to be a nurse when they grow up or when they go to college. And high school is actually when that starts because you want to be able to focus on your sciences at the high school level, or otherwise you have to focus on them as a first-year student at the college level, and it delays the amount of time that you would start on those nursing classes. So if nursing is something that you're particularly interested in, you want to work with your high school guidance counselor, and if you already know the college you want to attend for nursing, you want to see what their nursing requirements are, because you got to have biology as a given for any nursing program. And if you don't take that in high school, then you'll have to take that in college before you can even begin a nursing program. So if you know specific science related programs that you want to focus on in college, the time to start looking at that is when you're in high school and taking those high school's harder level courses while you're in school.
No, that's fantastic. I love those responses because I think oftentimes people think that you don't start the college prep process till senior year, but from what you all have shared, it can actually start earlier. And I love what you said, Sonia, that especially if you know as a young person, and kudos to you if you're a young person that you know you want to go into the nursing field or the healthcare field, you can get a jump start on it in high school and you don't have to wait till senior year. You can definitely start earlier. So I think that is a great point. Thank you so much for adding that. So speaking of the college preparation process, if anyone is like me and they have a little bit of Adobe in them, senior year, I had a bit of senioritis, just a touch of senioritis. And we have these standardized tests coming up, SATs, ACTs, AP exams. Could you speak to the importance of taking these tests as well as rebuking senioritis? How important is it to keep or remain in good academic standing even during your senior year?
I'll start and let people jump in, but in some cases we may look at those senior year grades actually, guys, depending on how your high school transcript looks. Some people in that freshman year maybe have a little transition anxiety and didn't do as well as they thought that they were going to, but then start an upward trajectory. So in some cases, some schools may ask you for those senior grades just to make sure you're still on that upward path. In other cases, the other thing that I love to say is we don't want you to have to relearn how to study when you get. So in that senior year, if you aren't taking those things and doing those things, it's going to be a tough transition again, being a freshman in college, kind of like it was a freshman in high school. So I'll answer that for that and let people jump in. As far as tests, I have a different answer for that.
Yeah, I just kind of echo what Mary said. How you finish out in high school will be how you start in college. So don't take your foot off the gas. And some colleges are test optional where you don't have to submit test scores, and it will vary from college to college. But that's why we're here tonight, because you're doing your research. So you're just going to have to kind of check out different college requirements. For example, St. Rose, we're test optional and have been for about 9 or 10 years now. But for some of our programs, we have accelerated programs that you do require test scores for. So sometimes you have to dig even deeper. And potential athletes, NCAA requires test scores as well. So certainly a little bit of research is required on the front end to set you up for success on the back end, I guess.
That's really great.
Can I just say, if you are taking the tests, sometimes taking SAT versus ACT, some people do better on one versus the other, or taking them a second time just to get past those nerves. If you're a sophomore and starting to look, doing it in junior and then again in senior year is not a bad idea. But as Matthew said, we are also test optional, and actually ask you a question on your application. Do you want them considered yes or no? So just so you know, again, do your research, because all different schools do it different ways.
That is really good. I don't think everyone is aware of the test optional aspect of the college application process. Some people are not great test takers, but would bring so much to the collegiate community. And so I think it's really nice that you have highlighted that. So I'm just going to go into looking for the college that you want to go to. In a professional space, you always hear about organizational fit, making sure that your personal ethos, who you are, aligns with the company that you're going to work for. And I thought it paralleled really well when it goes to the college going process. So what strategies would you recommend for students to deploy when they're trying to find the school that best fits them? Because there are a lot of schools out there, and sometimes you're just wondering which one would really be a good fit for me, how I learn, who I am, what I'm passionate about. So what strategies or tools would you recommend that students use when they're going about navigating that process?
I'll tackle that one. I have two recommendations. I'm a strong supporter of the State University of New York, since that's been my employer for the past few years. And in the SUNY system, you can start your research. I recommend you start your research with your guidance office, with your high school counselor, and they know a lot about colleges and what programs are good, and whether you have some idea whether you like small schools, medium-sized schools, or large schools, how you want to fit in. And fit has a lot to do with your success at college. So I do recommend college tours when you're looking at colleges. But when you're looking at academic programs and other things that will make you comfortable on a college campus, I also recommend looking online at the schools that you're thinking about going to. If you look at the SUNY website, suny.edu, you can look at programs, and the program that you're specifically interested in, all the schools that have that program will pop up. All the state universities or the community colleges that have that program of interest will pop up. And that's a good guideline if you're looking to go to a public 2 or 4 year institution, by starting with the State University of New York website to see what programs each school has, because some schools have different programs.
Fantastic. No, did you have something else to add, Mary? So
yes, I'm sorry.
No,
sorry.
I love it. Go ahead. We want to share
A
as much information.
A few different things. I know Matthew and I already talked about the importance of a visit. So make sure that you are visiting. That's one way. Another way is to look at social media. I know I'm not those people, but I know in this day and age, everybody else is besides me. So if you have Instagram, go out and look at Facebook, different things like that to see what's the social stories on websites. Your guidance offices, some of them have software such as Naviance or Score, but there are free things out there that you can research college on, like capex.com, so CAPPEX.com, niche.com. And my other favorite thing to investigate schools more so on data is iPad's College Navigator. So those are my tips there.
Could you repeat that last one for me, Mary?
Sure, I'm going to put it. I'll put it right in the. Oh, thank you, Matt. Or Matthew. I can put it right in the chat, but it's iPad's IPEDS College Navigator.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Matt, you are awesome putting it in the chat. I really appreciate that. I think that's a really great idea. I love what you said about virtual tours. I think especially in the climate that we're living in, we have so many resources available to us. Virtual tours are fantastic, as well as virtual college fairs. And even in preparation for this panel discussion, I came across a term I hadn't heard before called a gas tank tour, which I thought was really interesting. And so basically the idea is that many students are within a gas tank away from a nearby school or university that they could go and visit if they were so interested in, and then they can kind of see if the campus life is for them, if the community that is around there is for them. So be sure to make a road trip of it if you want to and go and visit a nearby school or university. And then lastly, I did hear about, I just want to piggyback off what you said, Mary, in terms of using social media. And so YouTube is always an awesome platform. I call it YouTube University. There's nothing you can't learn there. And I heard a college student say they have a day in the life vlogs. So a day in the life of a Stanford grad, a day in the life of a Pace University student, and you can kind of get a feel for the campus life. It's not holistic, but it gives you that raw, unedited, from the student's perspective, what their day-to-day looks like. So definitely utilize social media, utilize all the avenues available to you. And as I'm thinking about it, when we're talking about schools, can we talk a little bit about creating a list in terms of what your safety schools are, what your reach schools are? Is that something that students should have on their radar when starting preparation for the college application process? I'll pass that to you, Lasagna.
Absolutely. This is something that guidance counselors will start working with students in their senior year. And they ask students, what do you want to study? Where would you like to go? And they have three types of schools, the schools that you can get into, the schools that you would like to get into, maybe your borderline, and then what I call always a plan B. If you can't get into your first or second choice, always have a plan B set aside. And community colleges tend to be those plan Bs. I've worked at community college a long time, and we know that we're plan B, but that's okay because you're still getting the same quality education, but maybe things didn't work out for the schools that you really wanted to go to at the 4-year level, out of state, in state, or maybe cost was a factor. So when you're looking at the schools, there's a lot of things you want to look at. It's like shopping. If you're going to go and buy clothing, you want to buy something that fits. You're not going to buy something that's too big, too little, or just baggy. It has to be a good fit. Well, college is the same way. It has to be a good fit. When I go shopping, I have about 3 stores that I like to shop at. And, I may pick out something at one store, but then find out it doesn't fit well. So I go to another store and get what I'm looking for. So the same thing with the college. The college process is a shopping spree. It's not as cheap as buying a coat, but yet you still have to see if it's going to fit you, if you're going to like the color, if you're going to like the style. It's the same thing with that college education. So don't just look at one, look at several and visit. We can't stress the visit enough because you want to make sure that you feel comfortable on that campus, that you feel like you belong there. That's It's a strong indication of the commitment that school has to you so that you can feel committed to completing your education at the institution. So try everything on, make a list and try it on for size to make sure that it's something that you're comfortable with and it will fit you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that. Matt, did you have anything that you wanted to add? Please do.
Yeah, just a couple of quick bits of advice. Even when you're out driving around or there's a college close by to you, even if you know you're not going to attend that college, still park up and do a tour of that college campus, because it will still be a type of college. It will either be in a city or in a little rural town, large campus, small campus. It doesn't matter if you don't want to go there, but you'll still get a bit of a feel for the buzz, the vibe, the atmosphere of that type of college. And those sneaky tours, the ones where you don't do it with a tour guide or an admissions counselor, you're just walking around on your own, it's a great way to kind of do some people watching. And it's a great way to find out if it's going to be a good fit. Go and buy yourself a cup of coffee in the student lounge, sit down, people watch for half an hour. It's a great way to learn a lot about a college, not only the students, but the staff that work there. Watch them as well. If they look like they're interacting with students and enjoying what they do, that teaches you a lot about a college campus.
Fantastic insight. I did not even think about a sneaky tour. So I think that is really, really wonderful. So just to keep in pace with the time, I do want to jump into the next topic. And so with every process, there's always some type of terminology or jargon associated with that process. And so as I was preparing for this, we can talk about the actual applications to college. And I've seen that there's a common application, there's a coalition application. Please just like enlighten us on what the different applications are. Am I missing one? Because it felt like there was so many. So I will pass it over to our panelists. Please let us know the difference between coalition, common application, and anything else regarding the actual application. Mary, you can go first, please. Thank you.
Sure. So the common application is the majority of the applications that we receive, honestly. And what's the beauty of that is it's a common application. You enter the same information, your demographics, your address, phone number once, but you can use that information to apply to several schools all at once. And I know Sonia has the SUNY app, which you can also do, but it makes it a streamlined process for you. So if you have 4 or 5 schools on your list, 5 or 6 schools on your list, that may be something that you want to pursue. Like I said, it makes it the easiest, and each individual school has its own individual bank of questions that the Common App doesn't ask that we might want to know, but it is the easiest to apply to multiple schools. Not only that, but they also have prompts for their essays. So if you're not quite sure like how to approach it or what you want to write about, the Common App does have some prompts for you that might help get the creative process flowing. And I believe we'll talk about the essay a little bit later. As far as all schools may have their own application, you can apply right on our website. Some schools send you a priority application or all sorts of things. So there's many different ways to apply. I'm going to let somebody else take the coalition application, similar, I believe, to the Common App in theory, but not quite sure.
Yes, so the main difference I see, it depends on the colleges that accept the application, because they're kind of asking similar questions, maybe a little bit of a different format, but different colleges accept different applications. So it's just a matter, again, sadly, having to do all that digging and all that research. The coalition one, students in their 9th grade will actually start to create a portfolio of their work that they're doing in high school. Because the colleges that accept the coalition, they want to see some examples of earlier work, 9th, 10th grade, as well as those important junior grades. So that's the biggest difference that I see. But like Lemoyne, St. Rose accepts the Common App. We don't accept the coalition application. We get most of our applicants are through the Common App. And again, like all colleges, we have our own online application. the biggest difference being that the online application for the individual colleges tends to be pretty quick and easy, kind of 10-15 minutes, whereas the Common App can take, you know, maybe an hour or two, a few sittings to get completed.
Okay.
And then the one that hasn't been mentioned is many of the four-year ops, four-year state universities, the four-year SUNY schools will take the Common App as well. But community colleges, all of those campuses have their own application on their website. And they do that because all of the community colleges have a free application. So they offer that free application on their own website if you're considering community colleges.
Fantastic. Thank you for explaining that. And so just staying on the topic of the different applications, we also come into other jargon, other lingo associated with the application, such as early decision, early action, rolling decision. So which one should we be, if I was a student, should be focused on? What are the differences between early action, early decision, rolling decision? Can you just all unpack that for us?
The early decision is a binding agreement. I say if there's a school that you wanted to go to since you were little, or you're very passionate about going and it doesn't matter what it's going to cost you, you can apply early decision to one school. You can apply to multiple schools, but only one early decision. If you get into that early decision school, it's a binding contract between you and the school saying that you will drop all of your other applications and attend that institution. It gets you that answer early on for that school that you are truly passionate, 100% sure that you want to go to, because it is a binding agreement. Early action is, and there's all sorts of different deadlines, back to the point that Matthew's made, we've all made. You do have to do your research. Some of them are November 1st, November 15th, December 1st. Bottom line is, if you get us all your materials by that date, we will let you know earlier. For us, I'm going to use me as an example. November 15th, we will let you know December 15th where you stand with us, whether you've been accepted or not, whether we need senior grades or not, or if we're looking for other materials from you. So it's not binding. The reason why we do it and it's not binding is so that you get to know us and spend the spring getting to know us, as opposed to worrying about whether or not you got into college. Rolling admission after that is what we go into, which is as you apply, you get your decision. Our rolling admission starts after that early action time frame. So we start reading and decisions go out the door on a daily basis, starting December 16th, all the way through the cycle. Trying to think, what else did I miss?
No, that's really great. I think what I'm even hearing from you as you're talking is just sort of reiterating the importance of organization. So if you are going to start this college prep, if you feel better having a notebook and a pen and being that analog, or if you need to have an Excel spreadsheet, it's so important to be organized when it comes to these deadlines, because I don't think everyone's familiar with the fact that early decision is binding. And so make sure that you know what school that you're applying to, which ones are requiring what. So organization is just something that we want to underscore for parents, guardians, students. Whenever you're starting this process, to just get it kind of down on paper somewhere, a folder, so that you know exactly what deadlines are which and what schools you want to apply for these particular admissions. So
Can I also say check in with your guidance office, because many times they have deadlines. Doing these different deadlines. So if you want your application in by November 15th, they may say you have to get them all your materials to them in the counseling office much earlier than that. So there's many deadlines that you want to look for.
And the only other deadline I would add to that would be May 1st is the decision date. That's when you want to have your decision into your colleges. Obviously accepting one colleges and saying thank you, but no thank you to the other colleges on your list. So May 1st is that last deadline to consider.
Fantastic.
Adobe, we did have one question that was out there that is pertinent to what we're talking about now. And that question was, where do you get the Common application?
Yes, I see that. Please feel free to to acknowledge that question, respond to it, Sonia?
I'm usually with the free application, so I'm not as
Oh.
familiar with the common application. Maybe Matt or Mary can answer that.
The
What was the
question is, where
question?
do you get the common application?
Is it just commonapp.org?
Okay.
And honestly, on our website, we list our application, but we also list the common application. So there's links to both. So I don't know the direct because I always send people through our link. I apologize. I can look it up though.
No, you're good. Thank you, Matt, for putting it in the chat. It is commonapp.org. Thank you. I appreciate that. So going into the next question, and I'm so glad that we have some admissions officers on this panel, and it's about the college essay. So many schools and institutions do require a writing sample. And my question to you all is, how do you start that whole process? Is there a silver bullet? Can you share with us some insight as to what you all are looking for in that college essay? Give me one moment, Shauna. I think she said she's not seeing the chats. Oh, it's to everyone. We'll be sure to repost the stuff, Shauna, no worries. Let's see. I'm gonna ask my panelists, if you see at the bottom when you're typing in the chat, just select to everyone instead of host and panelists. So we'll put that in there. Thank you so much for letting us know. And we'll be sure to address these questions at the end, so no worries. Shauna will put it right back in that chat. But the question being regarding the writing essay or the essays that some schools require, and how do we make sure that we are doing our best in that particular assignment and getting what college admissions officers are looking for? And is there a silver bullet? Is there a great essay that you all are like, that's the one?
As far as the silver bullet goes, a lot of times we read the same essay, same type of essay over and over again. So when we do get a creative one, it can make our day. Say, I would, we may share it with more than one person. I know I have in my office. The other thing is, I say, don't let it be a stopping point for you. So many people seem to be overwhelmed by that process. Don't let it be a stopping point. Use one of the topics that's suggested or come up with your own. Let us know something about you that we wouldn't find out on your application. It's an opportunity for you to highlight something that we don't know about you, and give us a sense of yourself in that essay. Proofread, proofread, proofread. I can't stress that enough. And the other thing with Common App, even though it's easy to apply to many colleges at once, if you're naming schools in your essay, make sure that you upload the right essay with the right institution. Nothing is more devastating to us than reading and imagining you on this beautiful campus behind me, taking part in everything that we have to offer, and then reading in the essay that's why you want to go to Matthew's school or Sonia's school. It devastates me. I'm like, they don't even want to be here. So a proofread, be creative. Don't let it be a stopping point, and proofread, proofread, proofread. Those are my tips on the essay.
I love that, Mary. Matt, go ahead.
Just a couple little things, getting the name of the institution. Some people will write, I would love to go to your university. The College of St. Rose isn't a university, it's a college. We also spell out Saint, S-A-I-N-T, we spell the full word, but St. Bonaventure, they just do S-T period. So you have to make sure that you're getting the name correct for the college. My general advice for the essay is think about the 3 to 5 different things that you want me as an admissions counselor to learn about you as a potential student. It's not necessarily, the topic of the essay that's important, but it's what you're trying to get across to us, trying to get to know you as a potential student. And like Mary said, like just proofread, spell check. You just can't do that too often.
No, that's really good. And I think the authenticity factor is also really important because sometimes you can get so caught up in trying to find that silver bullet, and then you just write an essay that seems disingenuous. It's not even as you're trying to make the person reading it impressed, and then you lose yourself in it. So I think the authenticity factor is real, and definitely proofread. It is not fun, especially as someone who reads a lot of different things. It's not okay when it's not done well. So I definitely second that. And so you've gotten your essay done. You are work diligently on it. And part of your application process is getting letters of recommendation. And that can be a sort of unnerving exercise. So what are your tips on getting the letter of recommendations that some colleges and universities require? Who should students ask for that letter of recommendation? So please take it away and let us know. Mary, I see you were unmuted.
I want to stop talking, but I
No, you're great. We appreciate it.
So letters of recommendation, definitely from an educational source that one should be, at least at Lemoyne, we think so, but somebody who knows you well and is going to write something positive about you, that you have a good relationship with. Different schools have different numbers of recommendations that they require, you know, again, doing some research on that. Pick people who know something, you know, don't pick this people who are going to say the same thing in every single one. If at all possible, it's great to hear that you're a great student, but if you have an employer that's going to talk to your work ethic, or a mentor, or one of your teachers or your guidance counselor, somebody like that, that can speak to you and knows you, because that comes through in the letter of recommendation. Do not ask family members, because that's a no-no, I would say, in all instances, but a teacher or somebody like that that you've worked closely with, that understands what, you know, how you learn and know you as a person. Yeah, I think that's what I have to say about it.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
If you get one from a teacher, I would suggest have it from a teacher in the area that you're looking to study. If you want to study English, I don't want to read a letter of recommendation from a math teacher. We only require one letter of recommendation. I'll be honest, if you